Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Let's Play series. I am S.A.N, and I imagine I need to explain what I'm doing here. Well, clearly this is not Celeste, Crown of the Magister, as we were last week. This is Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, the runner-up to the poll I did. So, the reason I'm doing this is because, well, there's two reasons. One, I've been long since been toying with the idea of alternating Let's Plays, basically. Doing one game one week and doing one game the next week, and going back and forth between the two until both are completed. The other reason is, I felt a little bad for whoever voted for Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. They probably were really looking forward to the game and didn't get it. I promised I would do it anyway. So, going off the idea, I decided I would start playing this alongside Celeste, because Celeste is a very long game, and this is not. Celeste has an average complete time of over 40 hours on the site I got from GOG. This game, on the other hand, I've seen people speedrun it in an hour and a half or less. So this is not going to be a very long game. In fact, had I started this one, it would have been done weeks and weeks ago or months ago at this point, and I'm going to start with Celeste. So the idea is I'm going to be doing both of them, and on a trial basis. I'm going to be completing both of them. And if this is a popular idea, let me know in the comments, and maybe we'll continue doing it. Alright. So we're starting a normal game. Normal difficulty, because I can handle this game. I've played this game so many times, but let's just go with the normal experience. The year is 2035, Japan. Crowds of spectators are gathering around in anticipation of the first full solar eclipse of the 21st century. My name is Soma Cruz, and I am a high school exchange student studying abroad in Japan. I live near the Hakuba Shrine, an ancient shrine with strong ties to Japanese mythology. Mina Hakuba, the only daughter of the shrine's caretaker, is both my classmate and my childhood friend. I started my waking way to the shrine. This is going really fast. The solar eclipse. Alright, the text is going too fast for me to keep up. Yeah, so I tried to read that. It didn't work. So yes, two different key differences to this other Castlevania games. One, it's set in the future, year 2035, which even as of the date of this video we haven't reached. And two, it's set in Japan as opposed to Europe, which is most of this. Which is ironic, because it's a Japanese video game. And I'll explain the big details as we go through it. I will try and read over some of let me know. I'm gonna try reading this. Let me know if you don't want me to. Hey, looks like he's coming. Actually, yeah. I'm not gonna read the text. I'm just gonna leave it on screen for you guys. That is a good question, Soma. Where are we? By the looks of it, you passed out and were teleported. He got it really quickly. Erikaido. That name is probably going to sound familiar to anyone familiar with Japanese phonetics. I won't spoil it for anyone who doesn't know, though. Hang on, where are we? Ah, well, that's not a good sign. Okay, even by Castlevania standards, that's odd. That is a fair response, I suppose. Well, the full explanation would take quite some time. And we're about to be interrupted. Where'd they come from? Okay, that was an impressive spell. Can you teach me that? Alright, I'll explain this in a moment, once we get through this. Yes, we have to hurry. Well, no, we don't. This is one of the few Castlevania games that doesn't have a time limit. I say few. All the later ones don't. Alright. So, we have a thing called the soul set system in this, which gives us access to the magical abilities of monsters. These red ones here are bullet souls, which can be used similar to sub-weapons in the previous games or spells. As I was saying, these blue ones are called guardian souls. They create continuous magical effects and you press R to do those. These yellow ones are enchant souls. They just give you permanent magical support effects like stat increases. We also have equipment. There's also silver souls, which are like the relics in like Symphony of the Night. Alright, Castle Corridor. So yes, our main goal is to get to the top of the castle, the Master's Chambers. Like 90% of all other Castlevania games. Alright, yeah, timing some of these jumps is a little tricky. There we go. Alright. There you go. See, the spear is not very good. I will be getting a different one in a moment, but this short sword is better than the knife I have. Don't ask me why Soma carries that knife to begin with. This is video game logic. Alright, this Gravekeeper soul I just picked up is one of the silver ones I mentioned. It enables you to backdash, which is a common evasion ability in, well, basically almost all of Castlevania game, Metroidvania style games. Alright, now I'm going to just do a bit of farming here, mostly because this takes like not very long at all. There are specific souls in this game that you can get, like I said. Each creature has one, and it's worthwhile to farm around and to check around, fight monsters, and get the ones you want to help build your character the way, customize them the way you want to play Soma. This Merman Soul is one of my favorites for the early game, that's why I'm getting it. I'm going to be cutting out most of the farming stuff. I can do it easily off camera in between videos, and that's what I'll be doing. However, I'm making an exception here just so you understand the process, mostly for illustrative purposes, and that one took like, what, a minute? Alright, save here. So the Merman Soul basically fires like a jet of cold water, which basically does cold damage, or water damage I guess, like that. Ow, I got hit anyway. And that's the Bat Soul. Some of these are quite easy to get. Alright, just equip this. The Merman Soul is quite good for the early game, I find, because it's got good range, and not a lot of enemies are resistant to cold damage, but a lot of enemies like these skeletons are resistant to strike damage, or that the javelin's got. I'm getting tons of souls. This does also add a little bit of, not really rogue-like element to the game, but some variability because it depends on what souls you get. That determines what spells and abilities you can use. Alright, there we go. And that's kind of like the component of the game. Alright, do I have any items for now? We don't start with any of this one. That's the next game. Alright, time for a boss fight. Alright, so here's the Creaking Skull. First boss in this game. It's got poor maneuverability, but it's got 2 attacks. As you can see, the overhand bone club, and there. It basically spits a fireball long distance when you're far away from it. So basically, it's got the same limited options I have at this point. And a physical attack, which is easy to avoid, and a magic attack, which travels long range. And it's at this point a lot of people are going to realize that I've probably played this game a lot because I understand its attack pattern really well. It also has very little hit points. Really easy early game boss. Alright, let's continue. As you can see, boss monsters also have souls, but it didn't drop. Boss souls are harder to obtain, but they're more powerful. Some these early game bosses like the Creaking Skull do become regular enemies later on though. Whenever you encounter unique bosses, which you will as the game progresses, you automatically get their souls. Alright. Lots of breakable walls here. That Peeping Eye Soul the peeping eye here, this floating eyeball monster, its soul lets you identify those. Ah, there we go, level up. It's handy, but very, very hard to get. And I actually quite like it because, especially when I'm exploring the early game, when I first started playing these, because it was helpful for that. Unfortunately, I basically know where almost everything is at this point, so. Alright, here's our first Guardian Soul, the Flying Armor. I can't remember if I have to, I do have to equip it. Alright. This is kind of like Featherfall in Dungeons & Dragons. See, so this is how it works. I hold down the R button, and it summons that creature, the Flying Armor. And it basically enables me to glide through the air, like a bit like Featherfall. There's no falling damage in this game, but it's useful for gliding, which will come in very handy for exploring the castle. A lot of Guardian Souls work that way, and some of the Enchantment Souls do as well. Alright, so let's bring up the map. Yeah. So this is a good time, since there's not a lot for me to talk about at the moment on the game, to mention that there's actually a fair bit of actual, almost like precognition in this game, because like I said, it's set in 2035. As the time of this video, which is only 2024, it might, and I have to stress the might, be 2025 by the time before I end this Let's Play, but we're still a full 10 years away. But there is going to be, as you can see, this is what the Flying Armor Souls were, a solar eclipse in Japan, I believe September 2nd, 2035. I know the actual date because I looked it up, I was curious. So yeah, it's nice that science has gone to the point that we can actually predict those. So, considering I actually have traveled to Japan in the past, I've done a vlog video there, it would be neat to actually go there in the year of 2035 and maybe see the actual eclipse that this game is based on. I'm not going to promise that in advance. I have no clue what's things are going to be like in 10 years, so, but we'll see. It'd be interesting to experience that. Throw hand grenades. As you can see, a lot of these souls you get, especially the bullet souls, are all pretty interchangeable. Some are just more powerful than some of the others. They're all some sort of projectile, either weapon or spell. I prefer the magic-based ones. Oh, it's also worth noting. Hang on, just kill the zombie soldier. We have stats in this game, like most RPGs. We have strength, constitution, intelligence, luck, and our hit points and MP. So bullet souls, I used to think they scale off intelligence. They actually scale off of strength. Guardian souls scale off intelligence. So if you want to improve your offensive capabilities, just bear in mind which soul scales with which. Now, some eagle-eyed members of my audience will notice that I'm not playing on a actual Game Boy cartridge. I could have. I have a system that lets me do that, and I have the actual original game I played with all the years ago when this game came out back in 2007. But I'm playing on my Switch because it was released as part of the Advanced Game Collection, and I really like the idea of being able to play this on here. So that's why you see these little, basically cards or things showing up on the side there whenever I kill an enemy. It tells me if I have that enemy's soul or not yet. In addition to the little name popping up there, which that was how the original game did things. Oh. That's for interrupting me on the way by. Alright. "15 minutes in, and we're already pretty far in." That's the thing about Metroidvania games, especially if you know what you're doing, and I do. You can get pretty far in this quite quickly. Ow. Oh, this is a boulder armor, or rock armor, I think it's called. That's one of the tougher enemies at this point. Oh, I can now toss boulders. I still prefer the There's nothing wrong with it. It does a lot of damage, but the boulders don't fly very far, and I prefer the range that the Merman Soul gives me. Alright. Taking a short detour this way. This isn't the way we have to go to bring up the map here, obviously. But there's some nice stuff this way. Yeah. We go that way by. Alright, there's a potion over here. More mermen. See, the mermen are the main enemies in this game who are weak at this point to, or resistant to cold, sorry. There will be other ones as the game progresses, but it's very good at eliminating weak enemies in a row like that, like zombies and bats, that I quite like. There's also some money here. $500. I don't know why it's dollars. It's supposed to be in Japan. I guess it was a localization thing. Alright. Alright, took care of that. I still can't get the heart for some reason. I keep turning when I try to swing at it. It's fine. It's usually like a small heart or very minor amount of money in there. Ah. Now here we're going to meet another character who's been pulled into the castle. Yeah, you are. Yeah, I'm not sure at this point. Oh no, he's a missionary. Well, technically he was. Yes, that's a good question to ask at this point. Ah, well, if we're trusting this guy's word. It is, actually. Yes, it is. This is going to get metaphysical here. Yeah, it's interesting to see how the novel Dracula relates to the actual Castlevania games, because they're trying to portray the similar events. There are 2 games in the series which are basically set almost directly after the events of the novel, and there's a character who's called Morris, who's basically like a family name from that, like Jonathan Morris. He's one of the characters of Portrait of Ruin. So they do try to play into that as well. Somehow he knows about this prophecy. Yeah, so Dracula is dead at this point, by the way. Yeah, his regeneration cycle has ended, and his castle's been sealed in the eclipse. And that's where we are now. Yeah. So yes, that is what the point of all this is. To effectively appoint Dracula's successor. That's what we've been caught up in here. Alright, we reached the chapel. I'm not entirely sure why there is a chapel in Dracula's castle, but he was, you know, originally a rather religiously fervent individual. If in both the Castlevania games and in the original novel, and in the actual history as well. The actual Vlad the Impaler, who was the historical inspiration of Dracula. Alright. There's not a lot up this way, except for these bone pillars and some ghosts. There we go. Another classic Castlevania enemy. Oh, alright, let's see if I can... There we go. However, there's a boss coming up, and it's going to be rather hard to fight. So, I wouldn't say no to some more potions or some mind-ups, as these things are called. They're basically just mana potions. I don't know why they give them two different names. Probably a spacing issue. Bear in mind, this game was originally on the Game Boy Advance. Ah, I fell. Oh dear. Ow, I jumped into the axe! Ah! Alright. Let's see. Ah! It's probably not worth anything up there, so let's keep going. I don't want to waste too much time on this. See, I'm already in the second area, and we've only reached the 20 minutes mark. Alright, this giant ghost, apart from being a rather dangerous enemy, because it just flies around and is quite big and does a lot of damage. Ah! Trying to avoid all these flying enemies. Flying enemies in Castlevania games are always more annoying than ground-based ones. There we go. The giant ghost gives a protective barrier, which is quite useful as a soul, especially against the boss that's coming up. But I don't want to spend too long on it, so... because it could take a long time to get. Besides, there's another soul later on that I get that's much easier to acquire. It has a similar effect. I prefer that one anyway. It's also a bit cheaper. It would, however, as I'll explain during the actual boss fight, make this boss that we are about to face really easy. Except for the fact I'd probably run out of magic. Right, so the next boss we're fighting is this Manticore. It was like the Creaking Skull. He has two attacks. His fire breath, where he spits a bunch of fireballs at you, and his stinger. Fortunately, I can go rather high up and avoid him. Unfortunately, his attacks do a lot more damage, and he's a lot harder to avoid. I'll drink a potion. Also, his stinger can poison me if it hits me. Ah! Yeah, he likes to breathe fireballs in succession there, unlike the Creaking Skull. We only fired off one at a time. So the protective barrier that the giant ghost soul gives you would reflect these back at him. Alright, I'm going to take a bit of a beating here. I'm going to drink my other potion. And it does a lot of damage. I'm taking a beating here. If he corners me, it's going to be bad. Fortunately, he never really comes to the stairs. Unfortunately, that also means... yeah, the fireball... okay, I just took care of him. The fireball is the dangerous attack. And that's why the Giant Ghost Soul makes this really easy, because it turns his strongest attack back at him. It's a very useful ability, and it's a shame I don't have access to it yet. And it works on any projectile in this game. And since there are lots and lots of enemies who use projectile attacks of some sort, especially bosses, this stupid Fleeman, it comes in very handy. However, I would have to take... wow, the short sword is not helping. I'd have to take a long time to get the soul. So I would rather just have a slightly more tense boss fight against the Manticore now, and I'll get either the giant ghost soul or the witch's soul, which is the other one that gives you the other shield. It's a frontwards facing shield, which has a similar effect. The reason I prefer it is, apart from the fact I think it looks better, is the shield is cheaper to maintain. Guardian Souls require a constant supply of mana to use, and the Giant Ghost Soul burns through it quite quickly, especially at this point in the game. Alright, so we're in the study now, which is basically the library for all intents and purposes, but I guess they wanted to avoid using the same name as they did in Symphony of the Night. A lot of Dracula's castles, incarnations in various games use a similar layout. Alright, can I get up there? No, I need the double jump. We'll be getting that shortly. But this is oh, see? There's another giant ghost. I might get it this time. Ow. Oh, I did! Okay. I'll show it off just so you can see what it is. You need an enemy who does projectiles. The student witch is not good enough. This is not the witch I was talking about, by the way. Okay, I got the bastard sword. Or the hand and a half sword if you want the non-profane name, but that probably doesn't fit as well. Longer reach, but it's still a horizontal swinging sword, which are slightly harder to use in this game than they are in other ones. Alright. Oh. Gym clothes as well. Are those better than... Yes, they are. Alright, so that's a one-hit kill on them now. Alright. This is the shield. I can't remember if... Oh, it does! As you can see, like, it reflects the energy off of the magic back. Quite a bit for them. If those sparks you see flying off, those blue bolts hit, they do damage. Holy damage as well, which is very useful against specific types of enemies. But as you can see there, I mean, yeah, provides a protective barrier, costs 5 mana basically per second. Technically the same amount as my flying armor. The difference being the flying armor is only used sporadically for exploration, as opposed to this, which would be used a lot during combat. Alright. Very handy, but that's why I prefer the Witch's Soul, even though the Witch's Soul is a slightly different shaped shield that only protects from the front. I still don't mind it. It still works pretty well in my opinion. And that's why I prefer it a bit more. That and it's cheaper. Alright, there we go. Bone pillars. So difficult to deal with in the early game. Alright. I'm going to double check, but I'm pretty sure I need the double jump to get there. Yeah. And, we also go that way and push the block down. We also need the jump for that. We'll be getting it in a matter of moments after we fight the next boss. It was much easier than the Manticore, in my opinion. Alright. A particularly dangerous enemy here. Not the spider lady. The purple cloud of faces, that's an ectoplasm. They curse you, which basically drains you of all your magic. Which is very, very dangerous because magic is very useful and I got cursed. So now you can see it in action, but yeah, I did want to try and avoid that. And I don't have a... Oh, I do have an uncursed potion. Alright, I'll drink that. Your mana also doesn't start regenerating until you are cured of the curse. So, this is the stage in which curse became like the bane of Castlevania players in a lot of ways. Those fleamen are still really annoying. There we go. Oh, and of course there are tons of them in this area, and many others throughout the game. There we go, I'm getting tons of souls. Unfortunately, most of the ones I am getting at this point are not very good. Ah! Actually, no, this is fine. There's a save point here. Alright, let's save and heal. And I'll go back up and explore that area because there's more to that room. Alright, now this is important. Don't get cursed again. There we go. Ha! Stop. Stop. Ah! Stop evading my attacks! Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. I'm cursed again. Enjoy. Alright, there's another secret wall here. Alright, this drops some melon, which is some food, which is a healing item. However, if you're playing on hard, there's a very good weapon here. At this point in the game, does a lot more damage than most of the regular weapons the game do. I don't care that I'm cursed now because I have no mana. And I can just cure it right here. Alright, there's something else I want to show you before we progress. There, that book, this red book here, we can't get to it yet, but this contains some very useful knowledge that we are going to need to get the good ending of this game. I'll be back for it later, when I have this ability I need to get down there. I also might just come back and get it off camera, possibly, because it'll save time, and I'll decide later. Oh, another new character. Who knows who I am? I must be him. Yeah, how else do you react to a strange woman who knows who you are? Ah, Belnades is one of the, you might... a lot of people might remember the Belnades clan from the recent Castlevania anime on Netflix, from Sypha. Yes, Yoko is one of her descendants. All of the, major Castlevania families are... And, here's another big hint about a character. She almost let it slip there, but I'm pretty sure you can figure it out at this point. Yeah, as I was saying, all the major Castlevania important families still have descendants at this point in the history of the game. Dun dun dun! I mean, we're taking the souls of monsters. This isn't that big of a stretch to see that as a dark power. No, lady, I've been playing this game for half an hour. Yeah. There's a fair bit of foreshadowing in this conversation. Yes, we did run into him. He did seem eager about that prophecy, so yeah. I mean, also, I just naturally do not trust religious authorities in general. I've seen way too many cults in my time. Yeah, he's probably not who we think he is. Of course, how do we know we can trust her? Well, Belnades, like, she's kind of a descendant of one of the most iconic heroes in Castlevania history, so that's probably one reason we'll be siding with her. Jump over the Cataplepus. Or ride it. Yeah, you can do that too. Oh, great. This Minotaur is going to be a problem. Yeah, he can come up here, by the way. Ow! Oh yeah, there's an enemy in there now. Alright. Yeah. Ha! Flying armor is useful for that. Alright. $100 just lying there on the ground. And it's a coin. Which makes me, again, much more... I think it's much more likely it's yen. But it was like a localization thing, because there's no $100 coin. There's a 100 yen coin, though. Which does make more sense. We are in Japan. Then again, this is Dracula's castle. Who knows what sort of currency is here. Alright. And this weapon, which is the whip sword, which has the same attack power as the hand and a half sword there, but has much greater range, is as close as we get to a traditional Castlevania whip in this game. Alright. Bite. Yeah, you have to backdash through there, by the way. That's the secret. As long as you look at it, it's closed, but as soon as you turn your back, it opens up. I'm pretty sure you all saw that, but just in case you didn't. Alright, 3 bosses in one video. I don't have many items left. I do have the melon, which I think restores health. Alright, 3rd boss. The Great Armor. It's got a very high defense and a big shield. Ah! And I messed up the timing there. Alright. Alright, there are 2 things here. Both my attacks go through his shield, which is useful. Unfortunately, he doesn't take a lot of damage. He's got a very high defense, and I think he's resistant to a few damage types. Or maybe he's not. There's a few variations of this enemy from this point on in the series, and this is where they basically kind of started. They also started in Symphony of the Night. However, this is kind of like the form they have going forward. An oversized armor with a shield and a sword. Alright. Just to speed this up, I'll drink a mind up. They don't give a lot, unfortunately. For some reason, the potions in this game give a fixed amount of health back, but the mana potions give a percentage of your mana total back. Alright, there we go. Much easier. He's really slow. Also, I fought 3 bosses and I haven't got any of their souls yet. It's fine. The Manticore was the only one that was useful. Really. Another new character. Who has a very distinct music theme. The army ordered him to come to Dracula's castle. That sounds like a terrible plan. Oh yeah, inspecting the shrine. It does make more sense. Oh, he's really dedicated to the military. Yeah, how do you respond to that? Yeah. So, yeah. Hammer, yeah, he's going to be running the item shop in this game. Alright, we get the Malphus Soul here, which lets us jump in midair. Very common in Castlevania games, very common in a lot of Metrovania games. Makes absolutely no sense, except you realize it's magic. Because how are you able to jump in midair? In some games they try to make it seem more sensible by giving you wings, but that's fine. Ah! I avoided both of them! It didn't really matter because there's a save point just over here. Ah! Alright, let's save, because we've made some progress here. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try to go as close to the hour mark as possible. Alright, so yeah, we want to go back up the way we came at this point. We're going back to those areas that we can now get to with the double jump. Ha! Yeah, those Arachne are kind of tough for enemies at this point, but they're not too difficult to deal with. Most just have a lot of hit points. Their webbing attack does damage, doesn't really slow you down or anything, so it's not that annoying. Ha! I now have a weapon that can hit you guys really easily. Alright. Alright, there are 2 ways to do this because I have to get the, which basically I have to go up and then I have to go down. The reason I'm doing it in this order is because this resets the block. Alright, heart pendant. I think it's one of our first accessories. Oh no, I found the cape. Which doesn't do anything, okay. Oh wait, that was the cape I was on, wasn't it? Heart pendant. Oh, same defense but a bit more luck. Luck affects item drops and soul capture rates, so it's useful. Because Constitution is the only stat I haven't talked about, it determines your physical defense, your defense in this game. It contributes to that, and how fast you recover from ailments. Alright, there we go. Broadsword. Alright, if I remember correctly, this is the first two-handed sword. Yeah, that swings overhead. They're much slower, but they have this arc in this game. I do prefer the whip sword for the moment for the range, but yes, some of the best weapons in the game are two-handed swords. Actually, no, the best weapon in the game is a two-handed sword. We'll be getting it at some point. Oh yeah, I have to go through your guys again. Ah! Oh yeah, Metroidvania game, all Castlevania games have contact hitting. When you hit an enemy, you take damage. For some reason. It's probably a holdover from the early games in which a lot of enemies, the only ways they could hurt you is by running into you. Because the animations were much more limited in those days. Alright, so this is where the winged skeletons come back into it again. So that's everything we need to do here in the study. Let's go back into the chapel. Alright, so yeah. We want to head up this way now. But let's deal with these tiny devils first. Yeah, just walk off the edge there. Well, that was mixed results. Ah, see? I told you those boulders do a lot of damage. Yeah. Fortunately, the backdash is helpful for that. Oh. A bone dragon. Ow! I wanted to avoid that. Alright, we just want to head up. Alright. Anti-venom here. Poison isn't as annoying in this game as it is in some of the other Castlevania games, actually the later ones. It just basically reduces your stats. You don't take damage over time. Whereas in the later games, you do take damage over time, and it also reduces your stats, so it's even worse. Alright, this is the first teleporter. We're going to go back to the area we were started in. I always like that television effect, the portrait coming apart. So yeah, now we're back in the beginning of the game. We might as well check on Mina and do some shopping. But priorities first. Let's talk and see how she's doing. So every time you come back and talk to Mina, she has something else to tell you, usually. Sometimes hints, but when you come back and meet various characters, like Hammer, she'll have comments on that. Yes. Yes, Mina, he is. Also, you will notice now, talking to her heals you completely. No, Soma, it's exactly like that. It's pretty clear to everyone. Even at this point. In the next game, it's even more clear. Alright, so, yeah. Sell all the stuff we don't need. Alright. I will buy the map, just because it's always nice to have those. And then I want as many potions as I can carry. And yeah. Alright, so we can get both, stock up on potions at least. He also has some good weapons. I think this katana is the best one at the moment. But we'll be, he'll get better items as we progress through the game. We'll come back. The whip sword is perfectly fine for the time being. I think it's more important to stock up on potions. Alright, we also can go up here. Alright, here we find a lucky charm. Drops our defense a little bit, but gives us more luck. I think the luck is more important. And whee! Taking advantage of the fact there's no follow damage in this game. Alright, so now we have more of the map covered here. And we want to head to that large area there that's above us. Not that large, actual, lots of rooms there. Alright. Just go over the top here now, because we have the double jump. Alright, so we want to head up this way now. Height advantage! Well, the height advantage was on my side though, because I was lower down. Ow! Took an arrow right to the face. Didn't even slow me down. Only in video games. Alright, there's something over this way. It's not a very good weapon, but we might as well pick it up. Alright, there's Lance. Stronger. Maybe I'll give it a try, but I think it's also really slow, if I remember correctly. Oh, good grief. Look at that. Look at that animation. Compare that to this. Yeah. Really slow. It does a lot of damage, but that's one thing. The whip sword is nice and quick. More flying enemies. Sirens in this case. Fortunately, I can for the most part just ignore them. Now, that description's misleading. It doesn't really do much to them. It doesn't like enchant them to your side or stun them or much anything. It just does damage. Alright, entering our fourth area of the castle now, the dance hall. Do not ask me why Dracula's castle has a dance hall. Alright, we're about to meet a new character here. I'm just going to get a drink of water. A likely story. Why is it there's always a character in every video game that has amnesia? 1999. There's that year again. Alright. He's filled with fear by the hears the name Dracula, so he came to Dracula's castle. I suppose confronting your fears? No, he wants to recover his memory. That makes sense. Yes, that's probably true. Really? What magic can you do? I can float through the air and shoot freezing water from my mouth. Ugh, the zombie officers are quite tough. These ghost dancers, by the way, are a useful soul if you want to do farming, because they raise your luck. Ah, there we go. Yeah, luck increases by 4. That's my... There you go. I have one of each soul type now, so... Alright, we want to head down. I remember how I said... Yep, the creaking skull. That shows you how much progress we've made thus far. And the first boss monster we've had in this game, we've only an hour in, and already we're fighting it again. As a regular enemy. And we have to fight on the way out again, too, because this is... Oh, alright. There we go. Alright, this wooden golem is probably one of the toughest enemies we've fought so far. Regular enemies, at least. The bosses are tougher. But it has a very, very, very useful soul. Its soul increases my mana regeneration, basically doubling it. And it's going to be one of the ones I want, and it's one of the ones I basically use for the entire game, because having as much MP as possible is very important. I can't remember if these killer dolls curse you in this game or not. I know they do in some of the games, but I don't remember if this one or not. That's why I want to avoid them. Oh, not another Minotaur. They take up so much room, and they're so tough. There we go. Fortunately, the whip sword makes this pretty straightforward. The whip sword's a pretty good weapon, but it's probably not going to be of much use much longer. There we go. Oh, for crying out loud, how many enemies are in this corridor? Another Minotaur. Alright. Yeah, backdashing upstairs is not easy. It shouldn't even be possible, but it's not easy. Oh, yeah. I was like, there's something down here that's important. Oh yeah, it's just $500. Well, easy spot to get lots of money if you want it, but money is not really an issue in this game. Ha! I was killing both of them. There we go. Yeah, it's quite a rare soul. I'm unlikely to get it too quickly. Okay, ah! I have to kill these things first before I deal with that. There we go. Alright. That's a higher level potion, by the way. We'll be getting an ability soon that helps us obtain stuff like that, which means we can go back for the book. That's probably not going to be until next video at this point, because we still have to clear a boss. And I might want to save that for the next video. We'll see what it is when we get through this next section to it. There we go. Ah! Fleamen, the most well, not the most annoying, no. Those are the Medusa heads. We'll be running to them too. I'm not gonna bother killing you, you're above me now. And going up levels nicely. No, I want to save before the boss, at the very least. I can fight this boss in like 5 minutes. Alright, fourth boss, one video. 4 bosses in one video, it seems. Ow, that's fine. Alright. And I'm going to use the giant ghost for this fight, just to demonstrate how useful it is. Meet the big golem. I don't know where he's aiming with that. Alright, here we go. It'll make really short work of him if you time it properly, but leaving it on is mana intensive. It's like if you combine Globe of Invulnerability with Magic Missile in Dungeons & Dragons. Yeah, he's resistant to a lot of my other attacks. Well, he's resistant to my weapon, but not my magic, so... if you angle it correctly, you can send a whole bunch to the back of him. Like that. There we go. Forget 5 minutes. He barely lasted 1 minute. That's why I like that soul so much. It's quite useful. But I really prefer the witch one because it looks better and it's less mana intensive. Alright. We now have the skeleton blaze, which lets us slide along the ground like this. It's kind of like this... It's like the Castlevania equivalent of the morph ball in Metroid. Alright, we also got a Basilard. Alright. So, now that we have a couple of the new ability souls, we can explore more of the castle. Which means we're going to continue exploring this place next time. And we'll go get the book, we'll get that potion. And we're going to continue exploring the rest of the dance hall and moving on to the game. But we made some good progress for just the first episode of this Let's Play. I don't know how many of these there are going to be. I'm estimating probably around 4 or 5. Because of how much progress I've made at this point. Because look, we made it through a quarter of the castle. According to that. A bit under. Alright, so... that was fun. A nice little break from Celesta, which I will pick up again next week. And unless anyone thoroughly objects to me doing this, I'm going to do this at least for the foreseeable future, because it will let me do shorter Let's Plays alongside really long ones like Celesta. And yeah, I think this is very helpful. I hope whoever was looking forward to Castlevania Aria looks forward to the fact that I'm now playing that. So, until 2 weeks from now, because one way or another Celesta's next week, thank you for watching, everyone. Please remember to like and subscribe, and please join me here again in 2 weeks as we continue exploring Dracula's castle, trying to find a way out of it, and finding out more and more what's going on about why we've been brought into this Dark Lord succession campaign, or whatever it is. Goodbye, everyone.